This is Ariel with Ridgeside K9. I'm attempting to make my first vlog. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. I'm walking with Teddy. Teddy is a 7-year-old intact male border collie who has some dog aggression issues, and he's also reactive to children, wants to try and herd them. Pretty typical border collie stuff. So figured I would talk about the things that I think about while I'm walking the client dogs. I look at a dog like Teddy. Let's see if I get him in there. And he looks pretty relaxed right now. Kind of walking, typically head down, low body posture, which is typical of a border collie. Easy. But he's loosened up quite a bit. I mean, if you look at his face now, good boy, sit. I'm actually gonna reward that. I don't know if you saw, open mouth. He was looking pretty relaxed. Heel. But when he first got here, I said we would go for pulls and not walks. All he wanted to do was just pull and pee on stuff and look for things to turn his attention to. And his owners have really tried. They used to live in a couple other countries overseas, New Zealand. Sorry, there's a fly on my arm. New Zealand, and I forget where else they said they lived, but he came from a working farm in Scotland, so he's working lines through and through, and I can definitely see that in his personality. And part of the problem is, man, it gets hard holding my arm up. Part of the problem is he doesn't really have a job. They take him out to walk him, but the walks consist of him pulling and peeing on everything he wants to pee on. And then they take him out and they throw a ball for him, which is good physical activity. And I'm not ever going to fault someone for giving their dog good physical exercise, but it also does not stimulate his brain in a way that his brain needs to be stimulated. So since day one with him, I've been trying to work on getting his brain engaged. And when I tell people to walk their dogs, sorry, walking up a hill and I'm not in the best shape. When I tell people to walk their dogs, I don't just mean let them go and pull you everywhere and pee and sniff. Those activities are important for dogs, sniffing, investigating their environment, but going on a structured walk where they have to be attentive to you and pay attention if you change directions or stop and check in with you periodically, those are the things that are going to help your dog cut through all the noise in their head. And Teddy has so much noise in his head, and I can relate. I'm a kind of anxious person who doesn't do well if I don't stay busy. And that manifests in a lot of behaviors that I don't like. Pacing and probably like a Malinois in a kennel. Just, making a mess in my house and then like obsessively trying to clean it up. Eating too much, all those fun things that people do to distract them from being task-oriented. And just even if I'm just trying to relax internally, I can just have this ball of anxiety that needs to be addressed by doing things. So I look at a dog like Teddy, who's now walking nicely next to me, nice open mouth. And I see those types of behaviors. He's just bug-eyed and not knowing what he needs to do. If he knows what he's supposed to do, he's hyper fixated on it, like getting in and out of a vehicle. He can't, he has a really hard time just sitting and waiting. And I call it dogs have to learn how to sit with things. So he has to learn how to sit with all of that drive and anxiety inside of him and just let it go and relax, kind of like people. You know, that's why I try to meditate and do breathing exercises, because sometimes you just have to let that all go. But sometimes the dogs can't do that for themselves, so we need to help them. And walking and making him stay focused on me and walk next to me calmly and politely is a big important part of that. And you can see I'm not talking to him the whole time. I'm not constantly yanking on the leash. I've used the e-collar once, I think, since I started this video, almost 6 minutes ago. And we're actually gonna walk past another dog now, so I'm just waiting to see what side of the street they're gonna go on. We actually walked past them once already. Heel. Come on. So I'm actually gonna put the camera on Teddy so you can watch his body language change. Heel. Heel. Good boy. Good. Okay, so I did stim Teddy once there because he was just getting too fixated. I can see, and that's also important for owners to notice, and hopefully that was visible in the video. But you don't want to just correct the dog once they totally go off and they're lunging at the end of the leash and growling and snarling. You need to address the preemptive behaviors. So Teddy is pretty clear. I mean, right now, he's back to ears back, open mouth, tail down. And then when he saw the other dog, his ears came up, his mouth shut, his tail came up. All of those behaviors I can address because he's telling me he's getting ready to react. And having had Teddy for a week and a half, I see the types of things that trigger him, and I know his triggers. And I also know if I don't stop it before it gets that far along, then he goes into full-blown, lunging, growling, and he legitimately will try and fight another dog. He's tried to go up to my dog's kennel and pick a fight, and I know my dog is very neutral, so I kind of use him to see how other dogs really feel. Sometimes they just, they're all bark, but once they approach a neutral dog, they relax. But I can definitely tell with Teddy, he's not just bluffing. He really does want to fight. And his owners have told me that he's been in fights before, so I am aware of his history. So I'm just getting a chair because I got back to my yard and get a place for Teddy. Hold on. Place. Good boy. Down. Okay, so now that we're back, I'm gonna sit and maybe get the phone in a more comfortable position. So Aaron, you asked for vlogs, so I hope you like 10 minutes of me rambling. I'll try and wrap this up. So what I was saying with Teddy, I corrected him. He's actually at a very low level. I'm not even using the Garmin collar yet because I'm getting him conditioned to a lower level collar, and then going to condition him to the tone. But he's very, very sensitive to the stim. And he's one of those dogs that, he'll pull on the end of a leash, but just a little bit of stim and he's like, oh, okay. So I think for him, he's the type of dog that an e-collar is really super helpful for. He's just gotten so used to collars and leashes mean pull. So having a totally different stimulus to respond to, now he can learn if you walk with me and pay attention to me, I'll reward you intermittently. If you do any problematic behaviors, there is going to be an effective consequence. So to wrap up what I was saying about dogs like Teddy, he doesn't need to just go out and chase a ball and drag his owner or whoever's walking him on the end of the leash for half an hour or 45 minutes. I mean, his owners say that they take him for relatively long walks, but he's not in the mindset that is helping him. He needs to be focused, he needs to be attentive to his owner or trainer, and he needs to have a constructive outlet. I always tell owners, have a constructive outlet for your dogs. It's not just about running and exercising physically. Just like a human, you can go out and you can run miles and miles, but that doesn't necessarily calm your brain. I know when I was in school and running more often, I could get up to where I could run 5 or 6 miles. But if I sat down and worked on calculus or physics or chemistry, after 30 minutes, my mind was fried. And I really felt mentally satiated. I wouldn't say exhausted. It was a good, calm, tired feeling. And that's what dogs need. They need mental stimulation. Find training exercises to do with them. Find constructive mind games, nose work, tracking if you're into that kind of thing, puzzle toys, things that require the dogs to use their brains and not just their bodies. Activities that they use both their brains and their bodies, obedience, sometimes agility. Agility sometimes can get a little too, where the dogs are just getting too overstimulated. But you can teach them obstacles at home. I always tell people scent games are awesome. And just go on YouTube and find fun tricks to teach your dog. A dog like Teddy is super smart. He learns things really quickly. So there's no reason that he can't learn 50 different tricks. And then he's got a different repertoire of behaviors that his owners can use to help stimulate his brain and not just his body. But structured walks, that is always number one and the biggest thing. And if Ridgeside Canine trains your dog, you should be able to walk your dog nicely and have an enjoyable walk with your dog afterwards. And there's no reason that you can't take your dog on structured walks then. So that was my attempt at a vlog, and it's almost 13 minutes of me talking, so enjoy.